Hey everybody, what's going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you all. So, today we're coming back to P.U.N.K yet again, but this time I'm going to be covering Bystial P.U.N.K rather than Kashtira P.U.N.K. Kashtira P.U.N.K is what I've been messing with for pretty much since the Kashtira archetype came here to Master Duel, at least the first wave of it with the Fenrir and Unicorn and such, but I wanted to come back to this build that utilizes the Bystial monsters as well as the Assault Synchrons as well, just to see how I felt about it moving forward. So in theory, I think the Kashtira build is going to be played more, and I think there is a chance that it is still the better build, but I think that people will be maybe a bit quick to discount the Bystial variant here. Bystials in particular, I will say that these cards are in a bit of a weird spot, I find, here in the new meta. They don't have exactly the kind of firm disruption power that they did before with tier limits being around. Well, I mean, of course tier limits are still around, but tier limits being like the definitive top deck, right? Because when it comes to using the Bystials as disruption against a deck like Dragon Link or Branded, you know, they can definitely act as a way to stop your opponent's plays sometimes, but there's still a lot of instances where these decks can play through Bystials. When you were using Magnamhut or any Bystial monster on a tier limit name, you know, you were always stopping that fusion summon, and it often took your opponent having, you know, a whole other starter just to be able to have plays moving forward, whether it's like, you know, normal summoning the Rhino Heart or using Shiren's effects, something like that. When it comes to utilizing it against Dragon Link, I mean, you know, there's just so many instances. Dragon Link has so many different lines where, like, banishing a light or dark out of the graveyard can be annoying, but it doesn't always stop them. The best time to do it against Dragon Link is definitely when they are at the early stages of their plays and they don't have that many light and darks in grave, particularly if they have, if you know they have Wyver Serpent or Wyver Serpent, I combined them, Wyver Burster or Collapse Serpent, and, you know, they have, of course, minimal light darks in grave. You can banish one or the other to stop your opponent from summoning the baby Chaos Dragons there. But I think the Bystials are still pretty good in this metagame. Like, I don't think they're bad by any means. And, of course, in this deck, they act as extenders just as much, if not more, than they act as disruption. So the main difference between this and Kashtira / a more quote-unquote pure P.U.N.K build is that for a level 8 Synchro, we have a big emphasis on going into the Chaos Ruler here. You might have noticed in the Kashtira P.U.N.K build that I covered relatively recently that I wasn't even playing Chaos Ruler in that deck, and one of the main reasons is that in that instance I didn't think I had that many quality light and dark monsters to go for, really just the you know, Foxy Tune and Ogre Dance. Here, though, we not only have, of course, all of the different Bystial monsters, but on top of that, and the main thing I'm usually looking for with Chaos Ruler is actually Assault Synchron. In a way, both the Kashtiras and the Assault Synchron are trying to achieve the same thing in P.U.N.K, which is introducing Baronne de Fleur into the equation. To be fair, the Kashtira variant can definitely introduce the Baronne earlier, but I will say that this variant has a lot more explosive capability if it does manage to get its combos going. One card I will say I was missing pretty badly in here as I was playing is the Branded Regained, the, of course, continuous spell card you can get off of Bystial Lubellion. There were a lot of instances where I was summoning Bystial Lubellion, and it would have been really nice to have a bit of extra card advantage, although with the field spell, it's not like we're really hurting for the card advantage. It would just, you know, again, it would be nice a lot of the time. We are still playing, of course, like Jam Dragon Drive, and you can still go for this to get a draw off of the field spell as you're adding the Ghost Ogre, which we're also still playing here. But I do find that Chaos Ruler does end up being the better play pretty much every time. It really is hand dependent. Like, if I already have Assault Synchron, I might consider going into Jam Dragon Drive, but I don't know. The thing is, too, if you have Assault Synchron, you want to bring the Chaos Ruler back, right? So it's like, even if you have the Assault Synchron that you want to search, it's not really even about just searching the Synchron itself, it's also about utilizing it to wheel the Chaos Ruler back to the field as well. But, you know, we do still have the option for Jam Dragon Drive. Extra deck is relatively wide open. You know, I'm playing like Skystriker Ace Azalea, but I just wanted to try her out. I haven't really summoned her, so definitely don't need this. If you don't have Cicada King, you can definitely use another rank 3. Same for number 90 if you have a better or different, I guess, rank 8. I really like number 90, actually, in this build in particular. In other builds where I'm playing rank 8s like Bystial Sprite Synchro, I really prefer Hope Harbinger for its ability to redirect attacks, but here I actually prefer the Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord because sometimes we're kind of lacking in extra monster negates outside of like Baronne's Omni Negate, for example. And the Crocodragon is also relatively replaceable, but I do like having the level 9 Synchro option. You can use Chengying, but I do prefer the Crocodragon. I've tested both. The Crocodragon has the ability to, of course, get you an extra draw, and between that and the field spell, you're often drawing enough cards that this thing's going to have some pretty decent stats to it. So I'm a fan. I've actually, not in more recent games, but in the past, I have summoned this card to pretty good effect in, in past games. So. Alright, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover with the list. Let's go ahead and break it down card by card, and then we'll look at some gameplay. So, we're playing 1 Effect Veiler, 3 Maxx, 3 Assault Synchron, 1 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Ukiyoe P.U.N.K Sharakusai, 1 Gagaku P.U.N.K Wagon, 1 Joruri P.U.N.K Madam Spider. We have the 3 Noh-P.U.N.K Amin, 2 Noh-P.U.N.K Deer Note, 1 Bystial Magnamhut, 2 Bystial Saronir, 1 Bystial Druiswarm, 1 Bystial Baldrake, 3 Noh-P.U.N.K Foxy, 3 Noh-P.U.N.K Ogre Dance, 2 the Bystial Lubellion, 1 Nibiru, the Primal being 1 P.U.N.K Jam Extreme Session, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 2 Infinite Impermanence, and then finally 1 Joruri P.U.N.K Dangerous Gabu. That's going to round out our main deck. For the extra deck, we're on 1 Ukiyoe P.U.N.K Rising Carp, 1 Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, 1 Accel Seeker Stardust Dragon, 1 P.U.N.K Jam Dragon Drive, 1 Ravenous Crocodragon Archtheys, 1 Baronne de Fleur, 1 Swordsoul Supreme Sovereign Chengying, 1 Chaos Angel, 1 Ukiyoe P.U.N.K Amazing Dragon, 1 Psychic and Punisher, 1 number 3 Cicada King, 1 number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, 1 Divine Arsenal Zeus Sky Thunder, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, and finally 1 Sky Striker Ace Azalea. That's gonna do it for our list. Let's take a look at these games. First duel that we're going to take a look at today is a game against Labyrinth. Have been seeing quite a bit more Labyrinth than I expected, but, well, not quite a bit more. I definitely expected to see a fair bit. I did put it at tier 2 on my tier list, but even so, I think it is definitely going to be a little bit higher up in tier 2 than even I had anticipated there. So I'm going to lead with Foxy P.U.N.K pitching my spare Assault Synchron for Amin, using Amin to grab the Sharakusai, but it's going to try to throw out a Joel and Lockbird. I'm going to respond rather with Call by the Grave. I'll say this about Joel and Lockbird. When I was making my top 5 techs for the new format video, this was like very close to making the cut as one of the cards I wanted to cover. I think Joel and Lockbird is already pretty good in the current meta, and moving forward, especially as like Kashtira gets its next wave of support, I think Joel and Lockbird is going to only continue to get better. I would definitely keep an eye on this card if you're looking for some potential tech choices here, but thankfully this time around I have the Called By, which is very much needed because Joel and Lock is going to put a big damper in a lot of my plays, as this deck obviously does more than its fair share of searching. So, gonna normal Sharakusai and fuse it with the Zamin. Gotta really hope my opponent does not have the Ash Blossom here. If they do against the Rising Carp, that would be devastating, but they don't. So we get the Wagon and the Deer Note. I debatably could have and maybe should have gotten the Madam Spider here, but you never really know when the field spell is going to come up. Sometimes it's actually important as an extender, both with the card that it draws and sometimes even its own effect as well. So, activating Chaos Ruler, chain blocking it with the Deer Note as always, is going to bring back the Sharakusai as always, setting up the potential to summon the Amazing Dragon. Although, I do have Assault Synchron, and on top of that we have revealed a Bystial Lubellion, so we definitely have far more plays than just ending on the Amazing Dragon summon here. Going to be using Bystial Lubellion to add the Bystial Magnamhut, then summoning Bystial Magnamhut to my side of the field, banishing Nibiru out of the graveyard. Magnamhut will get a search during the end phase, and because I have the extra Bystial with the Assault Synchron, I actually get to go for the Assault Synchro Stardust Dragon here, rather than just going straight for the Baronne. This is going to allow me to set up for another summon later in the turn. Now as I bring back the Assault Synchron with the Stardust Dragon, I'm going to go for the Baronne here, and then I get to activate the Chaos Ruler, banishing my Spirit Assault Synchron along with the Foxy P.U.N.K. I actually should have banished the Magnamhut, but I thought I had Branded Regained in my deck, which is why I kept the Magnamhut in my yard. If I had the Branded Regained in the yard, then it definitely would have been correct there. Now here's that extra pivot that I was talking about earlier with the Accel Synchro Stardust Dragon. We get to go for the number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord here. And as you can see, we still have the setup for the Amazing Dragon summon on the opponent's turn. We have the Sharakusai with a level 8 on the board. But in addition, we have set up the Omni Negate of the Baronne de Fleur, as well as a Monster Effect Negate from the number 90. The Magnamhut is going to grab a Druiswarm. Maybe should have thought about grabbing the Baldrake, but I think Druiswarm is just more generally useful. And we even have everyone's favorite Earth Insect, which I'm pretty sure we just fire off yet during the draw phase here. So, alright, moving over to the opponent's main phase. We're going to start with Ariana. I'm going to let this resolve, because here's kind of my thought process, right? When my opponent summoned Ariana, I did think about negating it with the number 90, but I was like, you know, I really want to see what they add here. Like, I want to see if they add the Coup Clock or the Trap card. Particularly, like, I'm kind of afraid of the Coup Clock on this turn, potentially triggering, like, a welcome or a big welcome. I think that's pretty much the most likely way my opponent can win, is if I shotgun my negates early and they make a play like that. So, I'm going to let the Ariana resolve. They do end up adding the Coup Clock, which will then try to activate. I'm going to use the number 90 to negate here. Obviously, I want to save the Baronne in case I need to negate a trap card, but now my opponent can't use like their welcome trap cards during this turn. So what I can do pretty confidently is during the end phase, or at some point during my opponent's turn. Well, it would have to be during the end phase, because if it's during the main phase, you can just reset the trap card. But my plan is to use Amazing Dragon to bounce my opponent's back row during the end phase, and pretty much stop them from being able to do anything at all on my turn. Looks like they're going to link off for their own Sky Striker Ace Azalea here. Going to use that in order to proc my Baron, which of course I will use the Omni Negate in order to protect my Synchro monster here. Getting a couple of incidental draws off the Maxx is definitely nice too. Opponent's got no choice really here but to end, and like I said, during the end phase, we're going to use the Sharakusai effect. Paying 600 to Synchro Summon the Amazing Dragon. This will net a draw off the field spell, which I'm going to chain block the Amazing Dragon effect with, because I definitely need the Amazing Dragon to resolve here. At this point, my opponent really doesn't have anything left. Sometimes, you know, they will play like a Shizu Shufflers, but I guess really only the Medora is legal. Or wait, is it? Oh, I actually haven't encountered them at all. Wait, I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh no, they're both legal. That's right. It was it was Agito that got banned. Anyway, so, yeah, they don't have any shufflers in the yard, though, so, I mean, they really shouldn't have too much of anything here. I'm just gonna get out the pep just to make sure I have enough damage. I don't know. I always, like, I guess to be fair here, like, I knew exactly what the cards in hand were, so, like, I knew as long as I had 8,000, I was good, but I've been, like, screwed over by stuff like a random Numeron wall exactly enough times to want to set up as many, like, negates and bodies on the board even when I'm swinging for lethal in a situation like this. But no, here we managed to take the win pretty nicely. So we have a few more duels to watch. Let's take a look at the next one here. Got a game here against Live Twin. They're not playing the sprites, but they are actually playing an Unchained engine to go alongside it. Makes sense. I mean, the Unchained Abomination is already pretty good in Live Twin, and I believe they're all Fiends, or at least most of the extracts are Fiends. I'm pretty sure they're all Fiends, though, so that summon lock with the Live Twins doesn't really hamper them too much. Let's see, going to be starting with the Bystial Lubellion, banishing out of the yard for the Saronir, and then summoning the Assault Synchron. I'm going to do that before going for my Punk line, because as you can see, I really don't have that many Punk plays with only Madam Spider and Deer Note. So actually with this Chaos Ruler, I'm looking for either Ogre Dance or Foxy Tune in order to get my plays going here. So let's see if we can find either of those. There's a Saronir, and not a lot else unfortunately, so no real Punk access with this particular line here. I am going to sack off the Chaos Ruler for the branded, or the Bystial Lubellion, sorry, not branded. I'm going to try to add the Dangerous Gabu, but my opponent's going to Ash Blossom. I'm actually completely fine with that. You can see here, let me point this out real quick. You can see here that I have the Called By in my hand, but I did not use it against the Ash Blossom. Honestly, I think the main reason that I opted not to do that here is that, I don't know, it's kind of debatable whether Called By or the Dangerous Gabu would be better here, but I think in a situation where I'm summoning Psychic and Punisher, as you can see I'm doing here, and I already have an additional disruption in the form of Saronir, I think the call by is going to be a little bit more important potentially. Just the ability to stop graveyard-based effects. I'm just, again, a little bit more concerned about than field-based ones. Given that they used, well, they only really used Dash Blossom, so that doesn't really give away anything. But, yeah, I think generally speaking, called by tends to be better than like an onboard monster effect. I don't know, it's debatable. It's highly matchup dependent, to be totally honest. I guess here, actually, to be fair, the Gabu would have been better on the live twin Leela, but the call by is also just fine against the live/evil twin deck because as they go to use the Kiss-a-Kill effect, I can just go ahead and call by the Leela, or not even call by, I can use Saronir against it. And if my opponent had some kind of disruption against the Saronir, I'd just be able to flip call by as well. I guess now that I think about it, maybe Saronir plus call by is a little redundant, but the other thing I was kind of thinking was just, again, what I was talking about in the deck profile earlier, that in this particular meta, like, you just don't know if a Bystial monster is going to be enough to stop your opponent from making plays. And here we just end up drawing the Gabu anyway. Funnily enough, my opponent's Sunny Stitch actually totally is helping me out here, setting the difference in mine and my opponent's life points to be greater in their favor will only boost my pep more during the battle phase. It gets to swing in for 66, and yeah, we get a pretty cleanly finish the opponent off with the Chaos Ruler. We also have the Saronir, so another instance of overkill, but again, I say better safe than sorry. So, got a couple more duels to watch. Let's go straight into the next one here. I got a duel against Pendulums here. Seem to be like Pendulum Magician, or just kind of a more general Pendulum-based deck. Not leaning super hard into a particular archetype. We are going second here, and they are also playing Kashtira, as I've noticed a lot of like Pendulum Magician decks I've been up against lately have been really rocking not just the Fingers, but hey, speaking of the devil, also the Unicorns here too. I'm definitely going to Valor this Unicorn. I not only want to stop them from getting the Kashtira Birth, but I would also I would like to not lose an extra deck monster, and thankfully that seems to be enough to get me through to my turn here. Opponent's got a Maxx. I have my choice of Call By or Crossout. I'm actually going to use the Called By here. I wanted to save the Crossout just in case I need it for Imperm or Nibiru. Especially Nibiru. I was thinking a lot about Nibiru with this Crossout Designator because, you know, I think a lot of people are going to be on it in this particular meta. So, I'm going to start with the Amin for Foxy Tune. I'm not concerned about the Unicorn Banish at all. It takes Dragon Drive here, which, like, I already talked about this in the deck profile. I'm so unconcerned about losing Dragon Drive. Like, yeah, I just never summon it in this particular variant, so going to be going for the Rising card. Even if my opponent has an Ash Blossom here, I have the Crossout Designator for it, but they don't, thankfully, so I'm going to just move on to summoning Madam Spider and Zero Note, adding the Dangerous Gabu with the Spider before summoning the Chaos Ruler. I've already got the Assault Synchron in hand, so I already know this is going to be a great line. Alright, Zero Note is bringing back, I think I targeted Sharakusai there? Yeah, Sharakusai, even though I'm not, you know, obviously waiting to use, like, Amazing Dragon or anything. But I like getting Sharakusai here just because it tends to be more versatile and it has the highest attack value. Saronir gets to send an extra Lubellion, but we're also going to grab a Lubellion off of the Chaos Ruler here. I really just want to get Baronne on my board here, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that with the Assault Synchron real quick before activating the Bystial Lubellion. It might have actually been better. I think I was being a little bit impatient there. I probably should have waited to summon the Magnamhut, and then I could have, you know, done the Assault Synchron Stardust play and all that. But I mean, it also doesn't super matter here, right? Like, it's pretty clearly going to be my win pretty shortly here, as we're going to be making a Psychic and a Punisher. Oh, I don't know why I used the Chaos Ruler. I should have used the Bystial Lubellion there. Would have had 500 more attack points on the field, not that it super duper matters. I guess it doesn't matter either way because, yeah, I guess that's why I did it, because I was going to use the Pep's effect to banish, and that almost sets it at 8,000 attack, not quite though at 7,000, so we're going to be swinging in with the Baronne here in order to get that one last blow. Last duel is coming up here, and let's get to it. Alright, so for this game, this is a first for me. I'm up against Going Second Spirit Charmers. Well, sorry, Going Second Adventure Kashtira Spirit Charmers. I lost this coin flip, but the opponent gave the first turn to me. And looking at their list, it seemed pretty obvious why they're playing, like, Change of Heart, Mind Control, as well as some other Going Second cards. But namely, I think the Mind Control and Change of Heart are just to, like, accompany their charmers by stealing one of my monsters like an attribute or something. Well, I mean, they all have attributes, but you know what I mean. They take one of my monsters and they go for the corresponding attribute charmer and so on and so forth. I actually don't really know that much about charmers. I think despite being in Master Duel the whole time the game has been out, this is my first time ever encountering them. At least as far as I can remember. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty typical punk stuff right here. Oh no, not the hiccups. Hang on. Let me get some water. Ooh, I hate having the hiccups, especially very late into a video. But anyway. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, like I said, just doing some pretty typical turn 1 punk stuff here. The Assault Synchron is not going to be found off of this Chaos Ruler, but we do find a Bystial Saronir, so we do get to at least go for that here. And I'm going to sack that off for Bystial Lubellion, just to get an extra body on the board. The 3k defense can sometimes matter quite a bit, so setting the Gabu and passing over the opponent. This is a pretty late turn on end board, especially as the opponent uses a Kaiju on my Sharakusai. That's going to prevent me from going into Amazing Dragon, but thankfully I have like the one exact best card against an adventure line here, and that's Ghost Ogre, using it on my opponent's Fateful Adventure. They're going to bounce back from that though, using Mind Control on my Chaos Ruler, and then linking it off with the Familiar Possessed Area in order to summon the Dark Charmer, Gloomy. Dark's going to attempt to bring back my Druiswarm, but I'm just going to use Gabu on the Dark effect, and it's funny, during this duel, like, my opponent snap conceded in response to the Gabu. They had to have known it was coming, because, like, it was even faster than the auto play ended here on the replay. Like, it was, like, literally the millisecond I flipped up Gabu, the game, they just surrendered. I was kind of impressed, honestly, but, in any case, yeah, that's going to do it for my Bystial Punk build. So, I don't know, I want to go another round with Kashtira Punk before I really decide which one I think is better, but I think it's close regardless. I think that it might even be, like, even. I think, like, Punk is in one of those weird situations where kind of all its variants feel equally good right now, which is nice. I really like that because I like playing all the different Punk variants, and like I said, I'm going to be trying out Kashtira next, and you can definitely expect to see more Punk cards in the future. But that is going to go ahead and do it for these games. Let us now move on to our outro. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. That means a whole lot to me. Not just personally, but it's also a great way of supporting the channel as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other means, you can of course feel free to comment and or subscribe right here on YouTube. I'm always looking to the comments section. You guys leave some pretty awesome feedback as far as like constructive criticism goes when it comes to deck building, gameplay, channel content, all that stuff. So feel free to leave your opinion down there. I will be sure to take a look at that there. And then subscribing is going to be the best way to get notifications of when these videos drop. That does happen every day, by the way, so if you're looking for daily Master Duel content, you've come to the right place. And there are more places where you can get some daily Master Duel content. If you check out the description below, follow the top link over to my Patreon page. There for just $5 a month, which is as much as you pay for a booster pack. You'll find a lot more value than a pack full of filler over there. We've got some previews for content upcoming here on the channel. We've got some exclusive games that are only posted over on Patreon over there. We've got some Q&As, and then you can also have your name featured in this lovely credit sequence where I thank all of the people who are helping contribute over there on Patreon. It's a huge support to the channel, and it really means a lot as well. So thank you everyone who is donating that is featured here on screen. And again, you know, it's not just a pure donation, you do get some more daily Master Duel content over there just for being a part of the Patreon. But I think that's about all the time that I have for today's video. Once again, I just want to thank you so very much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. Again, it just means a lot as I do put a decent amount of work into getting these videos out every single day. But that's about all the time that I've got for now, so without further ado, this is Xlex. I'm signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.